in your film has really hit a nerve. It has been bandied about and talked about. A lot of buzz on the streets. People want to see it. Lee, tell the audience your impressions of what attracted you to this story initially.
Right.
Right.
I read the book about. Well, let me take it back a little further. I was 11 years old.
Right.
And my little girlfriend that I played with down the block, and I was going to say her name, but I'm not going to say her name.
All right.
Came to my front door naked. Middle of the afternoon, she was naked. She was bleeding. She'd been beaten with an extension cord. She's a little light-skinned girl, overweight, and pus was coming out, blood, and crying and sweaty. And she said, opened the door, middle of the afternoon, she covered herself like this, and she said, "My mom was going to kill me." And I looked over my shoulder, and there was my mom, and I'd never seen my mother afraid before. And I remember feeling nausea, fear, embarrassment for the little girl, and anger with the mom. And when I read the book some 30 years later, 40 years later, it evoked those exact feelings for me that I had as a 11-year-old. And I wanted to heal, and I wanted other people to heal. And yeah.
Well, Lee, as I was watching your film, halfway through, I'm thinking in my mind, I've seen films for generations. I've seen tons of movies, and I can never. The only movie that comes to mind where you have this level of abuse with an African American girl is probably The Color Purple. Have you heard any comparisons between that film and the abuse that Celie takes from Mister, and the level of abuse that Precious takes from her hateful mother, played by Monique, in this film?
Oprah, yeah. Yeah, I heard Oprah. A few other people.
Was that...
It's sort of like a modern day Color Purple.
Yeah, and I thought about that. I thought that it would be a much more effective story this time around, because The Color Purple was kind of set in the past and kind of people looked at it as kind of an older story, but you've set this film in 1987 Harlem. For people, Lee, who think that it's a wonderful film, but it's kind of dark and disturbing, and it shows African Americans in a negative light, what do you say to people who have those level of complaints about the film?
Sorry. Sorry. I'll try better next time.
No.
I don't know. I mean, I think that we have to. We try. I think we put ourselves on pedestals, We have to, because that's how you get Obama in. You have to aspire to do something. But I think also through putting ourselves on pedestals, sometimes we are in a state of denial, and that state of denial. I'll give you an example. In doing research on Precious, I had to go to the AIDS Crises Center in New York, downtown, just to do statistical research and stuff. And I go in and I expect to see a bunch of gay men in this place. And I'm in there, and there are hundreds of African American women that are sprinkled amongst gay men in New York City. And that is because so many African American men are afraid to come out of the closet, and they're on the DL, and they're infecting our women with HIV. That is because we have to be on a pedestal, and the church, and society, and your friend, and your mom, that is just one facet of what this movie is about. That we have to embrace who we are, because we're killing women. Something's wrong with that picture. There's nothing wrong with that picture. So it's not about holding yourself up to an expectation.
Right. I teased you before we started, Lee, that looking at your brief body of work, the 5 films that you've produced and or directed since the beginning of this decade, generally you
it
like
seems like this yesterday.
right. Well, I know
I'm
you
a young
call them
man.
you are. But you talk about that to you enjoy making art house films, but they're usually films that are very dark, they're very complex. You know, pedophiles in The Woodsman, a romance between a racist prison guard.
Cut to the chase.
Yeah. But I'm trying to say, where. You seem to have like a very outgoing, you know, bubbly kind of personality, but inside of you, when you're making films, there are these deep, dark, kind of complex characters. What is the juxtaposition between you as a person and the type of art that you produced?
My mother said to me not long ago, she sat me down, I was in Philadelphia at church, and it was after church. She said, you know, why can't you make movies like Tyler Perry? Why can't you make movies like Tyler? You know, Miss Maybell from the church says something's wrong with you. Like, so what happened up there in this house that you making these kind of movies? And I said, Ma, hopefully, so I made Precious for her. I made Precious for her, and I brought in the urban world into the art world, and I sort of just gave her that, and to make sure that she liked it, I put Tyler Perry's name on the film. When he called me, I go, yeah, come on in, yo, come on, help me. So I hope you like that, Mom. Look, man, I just try to tell my truth. I try to tell it every way I know how. And sometimes the truth is dark, and sometimes it's funny. Most of the times it makes you think, and I think that things that make you think have a tendency to lead towards the darkness. But I think that filmmakers go through periods of types of filmmaking that they do, at least the ones that I admire. And I think that, come on, I can't get any more bleaker. It's time to raise the bar, and for me to grow as a filmmaker. So I think that the next film I do will be a musical, and or something that will, but it'll always have that sort of through line. You know, you see a little bit of me in all of the films that I do.
Now, Lee, we talked about Tyler Perry, and we're going to get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But for inspiration, what filmmakers, whose work do you watch, and whose work inspires you?
Julian Schnabel, Spike Lee, Pedro Almodovar, John Singleton. I'm a hodgepodge of those filmmakers. Bob Fosse. A combination of all these people have sort of made me who I am right now.